All right, let's do this.
What you're about to hear is unscripted, unedited, and live. It's literally off the cuff. True confessions of an ENP. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Buckle up.
Are you positive he's breathing?
No.
Okay, and he's blue?
Yeah.
Okay, then there's a good chance he's not breathing. Is there somebody else there that can do CPR?
Oh my God.
911, what's your emergency?
240 million times each year, citizens reach out to 911 for help. Most likely, behind that network is an ENP. Let's have a talk with one, live and off the cuff. Hey everyone, I'm Mark Fletcher, ENP, Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff, True Confessions of an ENP. Today, I'm looking in my backyard, and out my backyard, a little ways away, hanging out over in Warren County, New Jersey, is a good friend of mine that I've known for some time now, who's got a companion that he's bringing along with him. So I want to introduce you to Gary Hill, ENP. And Gary, who's your friend?
Good afternoon, Mark. This here, my little friend, is 911 Bowler. He is my most times fictional character, sometimes non-fictional character, who likes to go on some adventures from time to time.
So does 911 Bowler have his ENP yet?
He does not. He's still studying.
Okay. But you've got your ENP.
I have my ENP. Woo!
I want to make sure one of you at least had it today.
That's right. Absolutely.
Congratulations on that. So the last time I was down at your center was probably a few months ago, and I spoke to your team about the 911 Inform stuff, Rapid SOS, and you had state police there as well, and got my picture taken with 911 Bowler, which was always a bonus. Absolutely. And you were studying for your ENP, about ready to take the test.
And you were making sure everybody knew I was studying for my ENP and that I better not fail my ENP.
If there was some fluke where you had failed, I think I would have heard that rumble all the way over here in East North Jersey.
Oh yeah. I want to give you digs, but I want to give you credit too, because that was the little voice in the back of my head saying, "You cannot fail this test. Fletch will not let you live it down.
This will be relentless."
Yes.
So you're out there in Warren County, New Jersey. I mean, you are literally out in farm country, in the middle of a cow pasture.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we're not too bad, but yeah, we are mostly.
No, Gary, I've been to your center. It is in the middle of a cow pasture.
Well, there are no cows technically, but yeah.
But there were at one time.
Yes.
There were at one time.
Absolutely, yeah. The Fire Academy was a cornfield. It was a cow pasture.
Yes.
We are surrounded by trees, thankfully, but we got the comforts of nice living, the Kohl's and the Marshalls and the Home Depots and Lowe's and so on, within 10, 15 minutes in any direction. But it's nice to have a lot of trees and a lot of park land that you can hike on and run and bike and that sort of thing. So that makes it nice.
No, I grew up not in your area exactly. I was in Sussex County, up in northern New Jersey. Very, very similar to your environment. Matter of fact, if you look at the Sussex County ECC, they're out in the middle of a cow pasture and cornfield as well. I guess it's just the thing for northern Jersey. But yeah, I mean, I grew up. I had a cornfield right around the corner from my house that we used to go play baseball in the summer, and have fun out in the fall and have the farmers chase us.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But it is a beautiful area up there, and you've got really a nice center tucked away in the middle of nowhere, and you do quite a bit. How many agencies do you guys do?
Well, thank you. We are kind of tucked away for a reason, but it's we're dispatching 9 police agencies of the 21 municipalities within the county. The other remaining are covered by New Jersey State Police. We got 21 fire departments and 13 EMS agencies that we're dispatching for, all serving a residential population of about 130,000. I think we go up to about 160,000 during workforce times.
Sure, yeah, because you have a couple of big businesses out in the area.
Yeah, we got the world headquarters of M&M Mars. That's always nice.
Nice. My neighbor was an executive down at M&M Mars. Actually, he would be the most popular house around Halloween.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Always enjoy going to PR events up in Hackettstown because M&M Mars is always going to sponsor it. So we know we're going to come out of there with a nice bag full of goodies.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's a gigantic facility there. They've got to be, I don't know, how many do they employ there? It's got to be, God, 20,000.
I don't really know how many they employ, to be honest with you. And we have a coworker that has a spouse that works there. But today with the technology, I'm imagining they've modernized a lot of it. A lot of it's done robotically. I drove by there today actually, and I don't recall seeing quite that many cars, especially since COVID. I'm sure they found a way to really industrialize it and robotize it, and less humans in there actually working from time to time. But it's there's quite a big workforce. I'm not sure it's quite that big, but it's a pretty big workforce.
And they're a very benevolent company too. So to have that kind of big company out in the middle of a rural area, it really makes a huge impact.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I mean, how does your ECC interact with those businesses? When I go to Neenah next month, my session is going to be on getting ECCs to be more proactive and interactive with local businesses that are small, medium, and massive, like M&M Mars. What do you guys do?
For the most part, it is pretty much meet and greets at community PR events. We haven't really gone into the facilities themselves, with the exception of the schools. I do a separate thing for where I prepare the employees of the schools for emergencies, how to react in an emergency, how to be a little bit more proactive ahead of time, remembering that, hey, when you make that call, if you're using that MLTS, there's, it better not be coming up as the Board of Education at another building. It better be coming up where you're at, and, what classroom you're in, that sort of thing. And I also do another one with a special education, Warren County Special Education District, where I'll go in and we'll talk one-on-one with their clients. And because, as those students are getting older, their parents are getting older. And there's a good possibility that those students may have to call 911 for their parents one day. And
sure.
So learning the challenges that they have and how we can possibly overcome them to communicate location, emergency type. If that's it, that's great. But as we talked about during the in-service back when you visited us in December, those challenges that are out there today with location data. Thank goodness for Ray Baumbacht that you helped put through and Carrie's Law and so on. But making sure that we can at least get some type of communication from those individuals. Whether it be verbally singing it to us, some way, text to 911, that sort of thing. It's critical that we get that data. But back to the original question about the industries, that's when we will meet with those industries. Is they'll come out, they'll be sponsoring one of those community events, and I'll have an opportunity to have a discussion with them and make sure that, hey, this is what we need to make sure is in place in your facility. Go back there and make sure that that's happening with regards to marijuana and stuff.
It's probably a little easier for you because you've got that home community environment there where it's more of a neighborly chat than an official business-to-business association.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're kind of lucky from that perspective. Which it's kind of interesting, and you and I had chatted, and happy to come back out if you want to have a day to speak with the MLTS and the local businesses. It's not because they don't want to be compliant or they don't want to help. It's just that they don't know. They're the general public and they've never seen the problems. They don't understand it just like anybody else.
Exactly. And it just the simple education of what the product is, what's out there, what can help, what hurts, makes a big difference. To this day, we'll have Brownie troops or Boy Scouts or somebody else come through and we'll give a tour of the center, and the parents or scout leaders end up leaving just as educated as the kids, if not more so.
Right. No, that's great. How many tours you run a month, do you think?
Since COVID, we haven't been doing them. We're reopened. Our center's reopened, but it's something that hasn't happened as frequently as it used to. We used to do them probably maybe 2 a quarter, going back pre-COVID. But it's one of those things where right now we're trying to put all our energy into staffing.
Sure.
And less PR events. So we're spending a lot of the energy doing that right now.
How's staffing out in your area? Because you probably have a more limited resource pool to pick from.
Yeah, especially with where we're situated. I've been
in the middle of a cow pasture.
In the middle of a cow pasture.
Yeah.
Can't put a headset on a cow, so
you put one on a bowling ball. I can see.
Put one on a bowling ball, but not on a cow, right? So I've been doing this for 26 years at Warren County, and I've always had my foot in the door at Warren County, even though I went for a little period of time over to Phillipsburg at a small 2-seat dispatch center, similar to what you had back in the day. But I always had my foot in the door at Warren County. And so I knew we were always doing something right, because we never had an open full-time position. We always had people waiting in the wings in part-time, waiting for a full-time slot to open up, and they can come right in. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until COVID that all of a sudden we started losing people.
Right.
I can't even say that we're losing people to other centers. We're losing people to, we've done our job as a leader in preparing these people for bigger and better things down the road. People came into us knowing that they wanted to be law enforcement. Now they have that opportunity, or corrections, or a career firefighter, and trust me, I do my due diligence in telling them, look, you can save just as many lives, if not more, in a single shift in 911 than you can in your entire career as a cop or a firefighter sometimes.
Yes.
Based on the call volume alone. And you get to sit in a nice cozy chair, watch TV in your downtime, or perhaps even earn a degree and the county pay for it. How else are you going to be able to do that?
And you get a comfortable chair.
You get a comfortable chair, comfortable, 70-degree environment the entire time. Nobody's spitting on you, nobody's shooting at you, things like that. But again, it's just other people, they picked up and moved. They were young. They weren't ready to leave the nest. So when their parents moved, they moved with their parents. Mm-hmm. But we're at a point now where, staffing we're below minimum staffing on every single shift, which is unheard of. Typically staffing is, our minimum is six people per shift for 4 shifts. And then, our preferred staffing is 8 people per shift. And right now we're at 4 and 5 per shift. So
wow,
we've got people that are literally working their asses off right now to make sure that the calls are getting answered and the right resources are getting where they need to go, and our first responders are staying safe.
It's funny because when I went down to your center, I found out that you guys dispatch for Franklin Township. And back where I was up in Sparta, we had Franklin Borough. And back then, 911 didn't even exist. So you called the operator, I need the police. Where are you? I'm in Franklin. And we would always get calls for Franklin Township. Franklin Township would get calls for us. Never met anybody down there. But boy, we'd talk to each other, 3-4 times a shift sometimes. Yeah. And it was just kind of funny to be in the center that I talked to all the time, but never knew 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It was interesting. Like, we've got Washington Township, Warren County, and then right next to us, we got Washington Township, Morris County. We got Washington Township in Pennsylvania, just on the other side of the Delaware River from us. So it gets challenging.
That's right. You're right on the state borders to the Delaware River, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
What's the overflow problem with cellular on the Delaware River?
Actually, and that's I can actually touch base on two parts of that. Back to your original question before about the challenges of getting staffing, and we have that New Jersey First law where they have to be a New Jersey resident.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many people that we could be utilizing that live right in Pennsylvania that would rather work for us, but they're working in Pennsylvania as now on dispatchers simply because they can't come to New Jersey.
Wow.
And that's a problem. So,
and a lot of people like to live in Pennsylvania just over the border because there's great jobs corporate-wise in New Jersey, but Pennsylvania is cheaper to live, taxes are better. I know a lot of people live just over the border in the Pennsy.
Yeah, exactly. And those of us that are in the public safety sector, you can't do that.
Yep.
Not allowed. So it kind of stinks. But as far as the overflow, with the onset of Next Gen 911, we have started to see some of those benefits of the spatial routing 911 calls, where not as many calls are being we're not getting transferred over from Northampton County, because our largest town in the county, Phillipsburg, almost 3/4 of that town faced a tower that was in Northampton County, Pennsylvania. So the calls would go to that hit that tower, and they'd have to transfer it in to us on a 7-digit line. So we weren't getting any alley dumps at all. So we were literally just getting dumped calls on a non-emergency line with nothing to go off of, other than them saying, "Hey, Northampton with a transfer," and click.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute.
Not even really a warm transfer.
Not even a warm transfer. No.
Just a heads up.
Yeah, literally heads up. Sometimes not even that. If audio is having challenges, we might not even hear them at all. We just hear the caller.
Wow, it's just amazing that people think you can transfer across the country, let alone you can barely transfer within your selective router service area.
Right.
That's easy. So 1 foot over the border, and you're done.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And it's funny, we can, those that are on the east side of Jersey, your area, you guys they can transfer in and out of New York City with any alley dumps.
Yep.
They're on the network, but over here in West Jersey, we don't have the political pull to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, New Jersey's actually kind of cool, right? So originally there was a northern selective router and a south selective router. Then they had pairs.
Yep.
Right, to back each other up. So you had a northern pair, southern pair. And then they put in a fiber ring and linked all of them together. And now in Jersey, the rule is every PSAP, the engineering, it's so wasteful, but the engineering is, how many seats do you have? You get 2 camera trunks for every seat, 1 to each one of your selective routers. So okay, that's ultimate diversity, but my God, you look at what the state pays for those every month.
Yeah, it's something.
And, you can put in a T1 for the price of that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's Jersey politics for you.
Yeah.
But you can transfer anywhere in the state.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of cool. It's getting better now that the carriers are getting more careful with it, but not too long ago, you could very easily spoof your caller ID and end up at any PSAP that you wanted to in the state.
Yeah.
I actually used to do that at conferences just to prove the point that it could be done. And I was politely asked to stop demonstrating that.
Yeah.
Well,
Nina has their enhanced PSAP directory that helps out as well. That makes life a lot easier. We were using it, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, and then it kind of fell by the wayside because it just seemed to take a long time to load, and it just wasn't as user friendly. And I'm not sure what they've done to it, but these last few months, it's like night and day difference. Everybody loves it. You can just hover over a city in the country, and boom, pops up the information for that PSAP. And okay, oh, your mom lives where, and that's what you're calling about? Hold on, I can get you that. I can transfer you right into that PSAP.
Right, 10-digit transfer.
At least, 10-digit, but we can at least do it.
Yeah,
we don't have to worry about traditionally what we would do if it was a serious call, we would give them the information and then we'd follow up a couple minutes later to make sure that the person actually did make the phone call.
Right.
So just so we could sleep better.
How has Carrie's Law and Ray Bombs and the COVID work at home environment affected calls in your center where people are working remote so much, since you're kind of in an area that's the bedroom community for working in the city? So they're going to have, a lot of people in those areas have great jobs in the bigger cities. Those are the companies that are going to enable remote teleworking, and they're going to have soft phones and IP phones at their house. Did you see a rise in that problem with COVID?
Knock on wood, we didn't see it. We saw a rise in the calls, but not a rise in the problem, because I think it comes down to training. We were kind of prepared for it.
Okay.
That was one of the big things. VoIP calls, MLTS calls, they were a thorn in my side in the early years. I, as a dispatcher, recall getting burned a few times. And so part of my, I've been doing training for 20 of my 26 years. And
that explains it.
It's nice. Yeah. It's nice to be able to, say, hey, I made that mistake. I learned from it, and now I can teach to make sure that, other people don't make that mistake.
Right.
And so I put a lot of energy into that when they first come on board about, what to watch for on the anti-alley screens, how to challenge the callers correctly without hopefully pissing them off, to make sure we get the right data. Because in many instances, we only get that shot one time, and we got to get it right.
Sure. And out by you guys, you can't do the old 911, what's your emergency? Yeah, I need a pizza delivered. Nobody delivers pizza out here. You should know that. Sorry. I like interviewing people that I know because I get to have fun.
Yeah.
And
no matter whose expense.
That doesn't matter. And you bring a bowling ball with you. So, hey, you know what?
Hey, who's going to take me serious when they look at this guy, right?
Exactly. Who opened the door? So what's the number one challenge for you with the people that you bring in from your area? Because you've got a very rural area. It's a very different type of individual that lives out there. What are the challenges you find in getting staff?
Mostly the time it takes to get.
I found this on the web. For a very rural area, it's a very different type of individual that lives out there. What are the challenges you find?
That's not me.
Hold on.
Check it out.
My Siri just kicked in.
Make sure you didn't activate mine.
Well, wow, this is the first one I'm going to have to edit in a long time. 23 minutes in. Okay.
All right.
So start that answer again.
Yeah. So our biggest challenge with the people coming on is typically the time frame it takes to get them through the hurdles, interviewing, critical test, going through psychiatric evaluations, drug screenings, regular work physicals, things of that nature, fingerprinting. We have been able to streamline it pretty well, but we're still looking at 4 weeks before we can get somebody through. And today, if somebody's really looking for a job, they need to work today.
Yep.
And that's a big problem. The other side of it is, once we're able to hook them, bring them on board, then it's, a process of putting them through the training and whatnot. We have a really good training program where it's about 4.5 to 5 months. The first 3.5, 4 weeks is spent in classroom where we'll do our now on officer, our New Jersey EMD, and then we have our own custom CAT Academy where we will prepare them to go up on the floor. We'll do call simulations. We'll put them on a mock console and kind of give them some radio etiquette 101, how to dispatch law enforcement, how to dispatch fire EMS, and then kind of we get them ready to handle alarm calls, that sort of thing, because those are the most structured calls. So this way, in reality, they can get up on the floor on their first or second day and actually answer and process alarm calls and feel like that, okay, I'm actually doing something now.
Right.
I'm part of the team, and it gets them on that phone, gets that self-confidence building as quickly as possible.
Now, if I remember correctly, you've got dispatch and you've got call taking separated, and then you've got some people that take care of everything for a particular town or two.
Yeah, kind of close. We don't have call taking separate anymore. We used to have call takers. That was many, many years ago. Now it's just you're working a police desk, you're call taking and working that police desk.
Okay.
We have one or two people currently with minimum staffing. One person will be sitting fire rescue, so they're responsible for all 21 fire departments, all 13 EMS. The supervisor will back them up as necessary. And then we'll have 4 other dispatchers that'll be working the law enforcement's, the other parts of the county. The one town, Phillipsburg, has its own dedicated dispatcher just simply because of the ratio of dispatcher versus on-duty officers. It needs to be just one, that they need that by themselves. So this way they can not get overloaded like we combined it with another desk. Right.
No, that's interesting. And again, I'm sure that has a lot to do with because of the rural area that you're in, right? You have to, it's more of a geopolitical decision as much as it is a staffing and workload and everything else. That part of Jersey has got little burgs, we call them, that literally you blink and you're through the town, and they may have a cop and they could be taken care of by state police, and that could be in the middle of your responsibility area geographically.
Exactly. And then at the same time, we've got 2 major interstates that feed directly into New York City. We got 21 miles of Interstate 80. We got another 7 miles of Interstate 78. So, with that traffic going in and out of the city, the incidents that brings, and then people who are trying to get out of the cities and come to the rural areas to do whatever it is that they need to do. They don't want to get caught doing in the city.
Right.
So we'll have that activity. And then, we got a couple of towns that have, a decent population to them that, requires 5-6 guys patrol on duty at a time. And something will be happening that requires 2 or 3 towns in mutual aid where we need, 20, 30 cops all of a sudden in a hurry.
Well, that's the thing, right? So an area like that, your mutual aid calls are probably considerably higher than other areas that have a larger department, because you might only have a couple of cops on, and if anything happens, number one, they're out of service working something, or what they've got is just there's no way 2 guys are going to handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I've seen areas over on my side of the state where there's a town that might have a mile of Route 23 in their town, and there's no way to get to it except through the other towns. Yeah. Well, jurisdictionally, it's still their town. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so there's going to be mutual aid all over the place, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, or you can wait 20 minutes till we get there, the long way.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. So, well, New Jersey is an interesting place to work, that's for sure. So what prompted you to finally get your ENP after the many, many, many years that you've been in communications?
I'll be honest with you. It took a little bit for me to get to that level. I had always been, I'm somebody who I've always wanted to better myself, whether it's through education or something else. But I wasn't one for schoolwork itself, like college and things of that nature. But I always had that aspiration to, okay, whatever I'm doing, I want to do it 100 times better. What can I do to do that? And, the first, 15 years, being a call taker, making my way up through the ranks, sergeant to lieutenant, being in charge of a shift. And in the beginning, I put myself through a lot of schooling through APCO's Center Supervisor Program. A few other, the EMD instructor, the 911 officer. Well, back then it was basic telecommunicator instructor, then emergency communications officer instructor. I did all that stuff on my own dime, on my own time, just simply so I could better myself. And like I said before, you get burned on something, you don't want other people to get burned on it also, and learning how to do that. As time has gone by, I've become more of an administrative role at Warren County, and I see an opportunity to instill more confidence in others. And I think by improving my self-confidence and my knowledge, I can instill that, on the other people around me. And nobody's ever been an EMP in my center before. So that was kind of interesting to go after that. And at the same time, there's a place I want to reach at my center that I haven't been able to reach yet. And when I submitted the paperwork to my center to ask for reimbursement for the EMP, it was actually a year and a half, almost 2 years ago when I did that. The response back originally was, why does he want to do this? I submitted it to my chief submitted it to the director, and the director went back to the chief and says, why does Gary want to do this? And my chief didn't know, which is kind of odd. So he called, he said, well, the director wants to know why. And I said, well, because I want his job. And he's like, what? And I said,
that's the kind of answer I would give, Gary. Come on, man. You're stealing my lines.
I have no problem telling him that directly. I said, at the time when he was talking to me, I was out of work because I had my rotator cuff surgery. And so I said, I got no problem telling him that. I said, but that's, I want to get to the director position. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And so when I finally got back into work, I got talking with them about it a little bit more. And I said, look, I don't mean it disrespectfully. I said, but the position of director has always been a political appointment. It hasn't been somebody who's made their way up through the ranks. And I want to I want to show our people that somebody can reach that level by pushing themselves hard enough that it doesn't always have to be a political appointment. Somebody can go from the telecommunicator spot, work their way up the ranks and make it to a director position. And that's what I'm after.
And you know what? The people that achieve that are probably the best directors that you're going to find out there, because they've lived it. They've lived through the ranks.
Yep. And I think that's one of the big reasons, my drive is so this way our people, not saying that our director isn't doing a good job. He's doing the best he can in the position that he's in, and not having the knowledge of actually doing the job. Mm-hmm. So if I can get in that position, I think I can give, I can bring with it, what I've learned from him, from our director, and encompass it with what I know through my 26, 27, however many years it takes for me to get there, and encompass those together to then, really take care of our people and get what they need to get.
And you've proven that you're smart enough not to live in New Jersey and not to be buried under the end zone in Sea Caucus at Giant Stadium.
Exactly.
Hey, Jimmy. That's a Jersey joke.
Oh, yeah. There'll be a few people who get that one. I don't know how many, but a few.
Yeah, a few people. Well, yeah, put that in the comments if you get that reference.
Yeah.
The bump, anyway. No, I think is it the 15-yard line? Is it the end zone? I forget where it is.
I always heard it was the end zone, but he could be anywhere. He could be underneath my basement for all we know.
He could be. So, well, listen. So what are you going to do to start inspiring other EMPs in your center now that you've got your 3 letters, finally?
Well,
after all these years.
Yeah. The big thing that comes down to, and the other part of it is with the evolution of next gen 911. I wanted to be more prepared for that. I wanted people to come to me, and instead of me saying, I have no idea why it does this out of the other thing, to be able to give them a confident answer and say, okay, this is why this is happening. And let me show you how I learned how this is happening. Just something as simple as it, again, the geospatial routing is to now all of a sudden we're getting cell phone calls coming in, and the tower location is actually somewhere in Pennsylvania. And being able to go out to them and saying, look, this right here is the first glimpse of NG 911. The fact that the tower was smart enough to say, hey, wait a minute, even though I'm in Pennsylvania, this caller is actually located in New Jersey. It makes more sense for me to send this call to a New Jersey PSAT. And that's, and then say, oh, wow, that happens. Yeah, that's part, that's the first steps and the most important steps. Everybody else kind of thinks it's the video and stuff like that. No, it's correctly routing calls.
Right.
And so,
geographically, that's your problem. You're right on the Delaware River.
Yeah, exactly. So, being able to say, this is why I went out and got my ENP, because let's face it, that's part of, a big part of the testing itself is understanding how the industry works, how the mechanics of it. Everybody walks in, people that walk into their 911 center back rooms and they look at all the wires and all the equipment, they're just like, what? To have a better understanding as to what goes where, how it gets there. I think it kind of makes the job a little bit more fun. And at the same time, if something doesn't go right, we can respond a lot faster by saying, okay, it's the whatchamajig that's not working, and we got to get the doozicky to fix it.
Right. There you go.
That's in your industry terms, of course.
Of course. Well, look, since I'm coming off the NINA Institute board on the 21st of June, coming up in less than 2 weeks from when we're recording this, and I will be once again able to instruct from an ENP perspective. Anytime you want to run a program down by you, or either if it's an in-service or even just an open community thing, give me a call. I'm happy to run down.
Yeah, and by the way, congratulations on getting the Northeast position, the vice chair, right?
Regional director, yeah.
Regional director. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I won by one. I won by one vote. It was
one vote, huh?
Yeah, 911 bowler.
That's right. It's funny because I knew that you were on the NINA board for the ENP, and when I was taking my test, I got to tell you, there was a few times where I was reading a question on a test, and I went,
Fletcher wrote this.
This is a Fletch question if I ever speak. There's no right answer here. What the hell is the matter with this guy? What is he's doing?
That's the one thing I'm going to miss every year, is just getting together with everybody and just writing those questions and looking at the stats on the questions that are coming up, and if they're too easy, how to make them a little bit, not harder, but just more challenging.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it was. I won't talk about specifics to the questions themselves because everybody's got to learn those. But you get something that, let's just say it's if some of the employees want to do this, and I thought, well, this is going to be an easy one because it's some of the employees. It's not all of the employees. It's got to be something that's going to, And I was like, wait a minute. There's none of the above on this one. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. No, there's. I'll tell you, there's probably in the last couple of years, there's maybe 5 or 6 new people on the NINA Institute board, and I would say normally people last 4 or 5 years on there, and then they start to roll around. There are a few people that hang on. I was the second longest. Actually, Fatty DeBlee, who is the Canadian representative, he is the longest, and I was number 2 right behind him. And Fatty's still there, still going. So, it was time to move on. And the regional director, I had so many people pushing me to do that, and I said, well, let me go see if I can ruffle feathers over here.
I had had a few nudges for me to start getting more involved and run for one of the New Jersey NINA board. And just before COVID, I was going to do it, and then everything else happened with COVID, and it was just like, you know what, I can't give it my 110%, so I'm not going to put my foot in the ring if I can't do that. It's not fair to the organization if you're not going to be able to commit. So
you would be a great candidate for the NINA Institute board, though, right? You've come through, you went through the program, and as you learn and develop, you have a lot of value you're going to bring with you.
I would think so.
I actually say that? Ah! Oh, jeez.
You heard that, right? Yeah. Okay, good.
Can't believe that came out of my mouth.
Between the CMCP and now ENP, the 26 years, I think I got a few things I could bring aboard.
I think you do. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? There are people on there that literally don't have their ENP that long, but
Okay.
they're running a center. They've been in the business. They know what they're doing, and
Yeah.
And you can graduate up into a regional director position at NINA, and you're even eligible, because you're working in a center, you're even eligible for the executive leadership at NINA.
Oh, wow, look at that. There's a possibility.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
I could work with you, Fletch.
I just had a twinge. I gotta check my my Apple Watch here. See if I went to AFib again.
Yeah, right. Don't be giving us any more scares.
Gary Hill is running for second vice president of NINA.
Oh my God.
That's like locusts are in the field. The world is going to start to end here.
Right.
I think that's one of the that might be the eighth sign.
Yeah, there you go.
Just kidding. No, I think you do a great job. And because you've got the passion behind you, you've got the knowledge behind you, you've got the letters behind your name now, finally, after many, many years. Something you should have had a long time ago. But
yeah, I should have. But hey, like I said, it wasn't for some of that drive, some of that passion, running into Tracy Eldridge, and she started kind of poking the bear too, saying, "Hey, you ought to do this." And why would I? Oh wait, and I started looking into it. Why the hell would I want to do that? Why would I want to put myself through that torture?
Yeah.
And then I read it more, and I thought, you know what? No, this is something I need to do.
Are you getting respect from your leadership now that you've got your ENP, by the way?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Fletch. I haven't seen it yet. But I think it's not out of them being disrespectful. It's, again, they're not in a position to understand it, to truly understand it.
So that's a problem. We got to fix that.
Yeah, exactly. My chief, when I went to him to apply for the CMCP course initially, and when I saw that it was available locally, it was right in Morris County, I saw it and I sent it to my chief and my other lieutenant, and I said, this is something that the three of us need to do.
Yeah.
I said, I want to do this, but not just myself. I said, all three of us need to go through this course. In the end, only I ended up going through it because neither one of them wanted to. And my chief said to me, he said, one of these days you're going to realize that these pieces of paper are nothing more than just pieces of paper. And I said, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
He said, and that's why you and I don't see eye to eye on leadership roles. I'm looking more of a leadership to where you're looking more of a managerial role because of comments like that. Wow. Because it's about preparing and bettering our people, not just ourselves. I'm not doing this just so I can get a piece of paper. I'm getting this so I can learn how to educate our people better, how we can help our staff, help our residents better, which in the end is going to help them with their career. And that's what it's all about. To me, that's what leadership is all about, is promoting the people around me, not myself, but the people around me. If that means I have to go out and take a week-long course to get my CMCP to do that, or study for 2 years to get my ENP, well, then that's what I'm going to do to help the people around me.
Well, I'll do whatever I can to locally assist you, and maybe we can change a few minds. And if not, I'm happy to train the new Warren County, New Jersey training manager.
There you go.
If that position should open up. Yeah.
Should that position open up, right?
Yeah. Which may be tomorrow.
Yeah, right?
Well, you know what? Good for you, man. It takes a lot to say that. But you know what? Hey, that's part of the problem, right? We've got to fix that from an industry perspective. We've got to make sure, I'm going to take on that responsibility personally. We're not training up. If they don't know that, then we're not training up. Exactly. And I think you need to train up so that they can appreciate, hey, this will improve my job by making me run better as a center. And I've got people that are empowered or that want to be empowered. I need to embrace this. That's just education. Yeah. To me, that's easy to fix.
It's not them being, not them being it's just them not knowing what it is. So, when I first went into the deputy director and he said, what does this really mean? And I was kind of like, well, think about becoming a doctor. This is kind of like the doctorate of 911, if you will. And then you got the RPLs and, through APCO, I said, but this is, if you're going to go and you're going to educate yourself to the best level in 911, that's what you got to do.
Yep.
And part of that learning, that ENP challenge is they make you go out and learn about, not just manage people, but how to promote people.
Yep.
And that's important.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, it's been great talking to you while you were still employed.
Yeah.
Glad you finally got your ENP, while you're still employed. No, seriously, all joking aside, that's a conversation that needs to happen. And maybe by showing them the benefits that you are now delivering to your center, to your community, to your people, that we can enlighten folks a little bit and go, and you know what? That was a great idea. And when you're in that position someday, if you make it that far, you won't have that attitude because you've been through the ranks and you understand the value that all brings. That's
gonna show our employees that, by encouraging them to better themselves, it's gonna encourage them to stick around longer to get those levels. Our neighboring county, Morris County, they have granted they've got a lot more money. They got the UASI money coming in from Homeland Security, but they're sending all of their supervisors through those CMCP courses. They're sending them all through EMPs. They will send the people to those national conferences, at the drop of a dime to just do it, to where, I'm going to National NINA, I'm going on my own dime. I'm going on my own time. But that's part of what I like to do. I like to go out and talk with people and teach what I've experienced through these 26 years and pass along something while I still can.
Sure.
To me, that's valuable.
And just while we're on the topic, that's part of 911 Bowler's mission is to educate, and people can sponsor 911 Bowler at NINA.
Absolutely. His, other than just him being my mental stress relief by going on hikes with me, I just today we were out of the park and he was going for a little run, if you will. So watch the video out there for that. But people were asking, what's that about? What's going on? And I talked to them about the reclassification efforts. I talked to them about, what it takes to be a 911 dispatcher. And at the same time, I do a little bit of public education while I'm out there. Typically when I go traveling, give you an example quickly. We were out in, last year, we were in Natural Bridge, Virginia. And I knew I was going to be traveling through certain areas. I'll take the time to look up who those state representatives are, congresspersons, that sort of thing. And I'll say, hey, contact Congressman Smith and tell him to support the 911 Saves Act, or reach out to your local state assembly person and say, hey, why aren't our dispatchers first responders? Things like that. So,
and that's great. That was one of the platforms, that I stood on when I was running for Northeast, was to get every state in the Northeast. We've got a lot, but there's still a few more that need to be, recognizing dispatchers as first responders. Not everyone is. And, I hope that I'm not just limiting it to the Northeast. I'll help any state. So, again, happy to help you and 911. Happy to help 911 Boulder with that initiative. If you happen to be there, I'll deal with it.
Yeah. Well, he will be presenting at NENA as well, and we get to talk about those ripple effects that positivity creates. And I'll be talking about Kerry's Law a little bit towards the end, as what happens when we create positive ripples through our call taking.
Oh, great.
And I actually reached out.
Hank Hunt's going to be there.
Yep. Yeah, he actually already said that he wants to sit in on my presentation so he can listen in. And I said I'd be honored to have him there.
Okay.
Like I said, it's not a whole lot. It's just basically a small snippet about what happens when we put that positive energy in our call taking, whether it's emergency calls or non-emergency calls, and just leaving with a positive attitude every call, and with the differences that we can make. And, Kerry's Law.
That initiative was to make a change and get a law passed. Yep. We got 2 laws passed, and we've made the change. Now it's just promoting, hey, that change exists. Watch for it, help it expand, and be an inspiration for Alyssa's law. Be an inspiration for whoever's law that's coming out. Be an inspiration for the next poor child's name that's going to get attached to a law that should have already been a law. Right. Don't get me started, Gary.
All right.
We'll be here 3 hours.
Right.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, listen, thank you so much. Congratulations on your ENP. That comes from right here. And again, anytime you need any help out there in Warren County, it's always a beautiful ride. I kind of enjoy being out in the cornfield.
Yeah. Well, we loved having you. You're more than welcome to go back anytime. I'm actually trying to work a way to actually get Tracy down there since she did so well with her study group.
Oh, nice.
That whole intra-lata and inter-lata thing, she drove me nuts with that. With the whole rah-rah. And
the rah-rah.
Yeah, I was a AAA guy for 8 years. So to me, it was just, wait, you mean interstate versus intrastate? So to me, it was easy to just do it that way. I appreciated the way she put her, the way she did it with, the local people, rah-rah, it's all local people. But to me, it was like, all right, well, it's an intrastate because it's in-state, or it's an interstate because it's out-of-state. That's the way I went with it. But she does. She has a very unique way, and
yeah.
But
a lot of people don't think that way, right? And people, that one example with the rah-rah on intralata, those people remember that.
Yeah.
So, back when we were writing questions, I have to write questions now around Tracy's answers to avoid her.
She's very good people. She's great.
Yeah, no, she's fantastic. She's done a lot to bring call takers into the ENP world.
Yeah. Yep.
So
she's doing awards some sort from Nina.
Yeah.
We'll talk offline about that.
All right, my friend. Listen, thanks very much. Gary Hill, Emergency Number Professional ENP, Warren County, New Jersey, 911 Communications Center. Is the corn coming up yet?
It's just starting.
That's how I know summer's over.
That's right.
Corn's higher than your head.
Yep.
Time for the county fair. Time to go back to school.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Butch.
All right. Thanks for stopping in.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Off the Cuff, Confessions of an ENP. I'm Mark Fletcher, ENP, and I'm the Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Off the Cuff is sponsored by 911 Inform, delivering next-generation 911 solutions to the